Hi, my name is Emily Campbell. I'm going to be going over my internship this semester. I worked with a company called Communicating Love, and it's with a Rodney Lim, and he is a marriage therapist. Um, how did I get this internship? I originally was really struggling to find something local in my area because I do live in Alaska and I couldn't find one that would work with a bachelor's degree. So I reached out to Betsy Montoya and she is the internship coordinator and she was able to give me some online internship opportunities. And so I reached out to Rodney and he talked to me and we talked about my interests and what my degree was in, and he gave me the opportunity to work with him, and that was really exciting. What were my responsibilities? My first responsibility was to take the course through the Prepare and Enrich and become a certified marriage facilitator. The course was done and paid for all through online. It's about $250. It's a great program, and you can use it in the future. Through the program, you learn about at least 10 core topics, and those topics are also topics that you'll be used for weekly podcast with him and whoever he chooses to bring in. For us, it was there was one other intern at the time, so we met at least weekly, and they were for about an hour to 2 hours at a time. And we just talked about the different topics. Our responsibility was to come with research in regards to, we were able to use like the LDS website and anything else that we found through our courseworks, through quotes and other relevant things that we can contribute to the podcast and put that together and be ready for the podcast. We also took turns me and the other intern took turns leading the podcast and introducing the topics and also just spearheading the different, material that we were covering in the Prepare and Enrich program through and talking about it and reading off that. We also had special topic podcasts that we would research and write and lead during the semester. So you had to come up with things that were interest to you and write those podcasts so that you could share them. I was responsible for writing blogs and social media posts and if possible helping post and edit those podcasts. So it is quite a bit of writing, and coming up with that all on your own, coming up with topics that you find interesting, coming up with things that you want to write about and having that kind of a set of like a paper voice, but more of a blog or personal voice within it, and being able to learn that kind of a skill of blog writing. How did I benefit personally from this? It brought a lot of different topics that I learned during my bachelor's degree more full circle, allowing me to apply the information that I've learned and expound upon it. Because there are different topics that we learn, and it can be just from an academic perspective, but when you're able to actually apply it, it allows you to be able to apply it in a different way. I learned a lot from the Prepare and Enrich program. It has great topics. It has great exercises that you can work with your couples. And discussing it actually helped me apply more of the things that we learned in my bachelor's degree. It helped me understand the importance of family of origin and the speaker listener techniques, and also just having hard conversations. I used a lot of the books and topics from class to write, and I also saw them differently than I did before. Learning at seeing it from just not just from a learner's perspective, but a teacher's perspective, and being able to write from like, how can I help someone else, or what can they benefit from as someone who's married or single, or things like that. I was able to strengthen my own marriage and relationships with the topics and exercises we discussed and practice those exercises with my spouse. One of the better ways that I was able to learn and also be able to understand the exercises was doing them with my spouse. And it helped me and my husband get closer. Through the different tasks and hearing Rodney's experiences, I was able to learn and see the various roles and responsibilities that he did himself and the things that he had to also develop, because I do feel like it's changed a lot. Writing blogs and having podcasts and social media isn't something that they had to do, I think, you know, many, many years ago. So I think that helped me see what I would have, the expectations that I would also have if I was to go into marriage and therapy. And so, it helped me have a more realistic expectation of what that looks like if I was to run my own business and how that's going to happen or what I could do to make that happen or the skills that I need to develop now to be better at it. There are many different courses that I could say that were important connections to my coursework and what I experienced during my internship. Marriage skills was one that I used a lot. It taught many of the techniques and exercises that were in the Prepare and Enrich. So already having the foundation of what some of those techniques were and extra exercises were great. So I wasn't like super like new to it. But many of the topics and lessons in the class um, were things that we discuss and study about in the class itself. But they also can take it in a deeper level and show great exercises that couples can do together so that they can be able to work on money and boundaries and communication and why the family of origin is important to them. It also discussed many topics that I would write about for a lot of blog purposes. Um, I talked about how um, to be able to have to talk to your spouse without getting, feeling aggressive, but be able to also just feel like, I need to be heard. And so things like that you can write about. And I used a lot of the things from Prepare and Rich and a lot of things from my classes to be able to do so. The marriage class, Family 300 was a big class. Through the internship, I made many connections. The class inspired me greatly for my blogs. I loved the concepts from the 7 Principles for Making a Marriage Work by John Gottman. I use that a lot. I wrote a couple blogs, and it also just helped me to add to the podcast. I reread a lot of that book this semester. We talked about the influences of culture around marriage today. We talked about sex. We talked about the transitions in marriage and the impacts of that and how we change and how, you know, being married doesn't mean that you are going to stay the same for the rest of your life and how to navigate that and things like that. So we talked a lot of those things. Um, we talked a lot about relationships and marriage, and I go back and references those classes and have information on those topics. So being able to also remember the classes that certain things were talked about was important and helpful for me. I would recommend Ronnie. He's a great to work for. I would absolutely recommend him if you're interested in marriage and therapy. He allows you to research and write about your passions or interests that you might have. He also has real life examples and experiences of many years of what he's already done. He also would allow you to possibly work as a marriage facilitator if that interests you afterwards. His contact information is here. His email is at rod@communicatinglove.com, and he's based in Idaho. Um, but again, I really feel like this is a great opportunity if you're interested in marriage and therapy. I could see many other interests that might correlate to it, but I do feel like he's great for that type of sector, so you could get an interest in that. Um, but anyways, he's great to work for. I have really enjoyed my internship. It's allowed me to grow as a person, and it's allowed me to kind of see the full circle of my degree and the basis for that. So, thanks so much for listening.